Be blessed and encouraged to know that the Bible teaches us that as believers and children of God, we are going to experience numerous amounts of hardship, sorrow in this particular earthly plane. If you are someone who's struggling in your life to understand why you're experiencing hardships of just difficulty throughout your life, realize that you are strong and powerful, and that's why that the enemy is testing you. You have to understand that when you experience these things, you are being tested by the enemy. The Bible teaches us in Job that Job was a very fearful man. Job believed in God. He was a believer and he stood still in his faith. And there's a story in the Bible where Job is being tested by the enemy. The enemy asked God to allow him to test Job. The enemy was probing the earth to find who he can uproot, right? And so God said, do you know of my child Job? God understands the power each and every one of his believers have in them. And so therefore he gives the ability for the enemy to test you. So God believes that you are strong enough to deal with the difficulties. God wants us to be able to understand and trust that he is our foundation. God wants you to be able to use his armor to overcome your difficulty. God wants you to be able to endure because the enemy wants you to fail. The enemy wants you to fail not only the test, but the enemy wants you to reject who God is. So therefore, the enemy is going to constantly seek and destroy you. The enemy is setting traps. So you must believe that you are powerful, more powerful than you think you are, because now the enemy is offended by you. You have offended the enemy. God bless the Lord that you have offended the enemy. And once you realize you offended the enemy, when you combat the enemy with everything God has given you in instruction, now you can tell the enemy to go away. You've offended him so much, he'll keep coming, but this will be so easy for you to handle moving forward because you found a way to combat the enemy. A number of us cannot defeat the enemy. We're very vulnerable in our growth, and we are still learning how to combat offenses, how to manage our anger, how to deal with all the things. But just know that you are one of the strongest beings possible because you are a faithful believer in who God is and you're living out God's works. So you have been faithful. You are carrying out God's works, good works, and you are doing that every day. And so the enemy is going to try to do everything he can to destroy who you are. And we will not allow the enemy to do that. So be blessed and encouraged to know that you are strong and you are mighty. You have offended the enemy and God has it under control because God knows you have it under control. Endure through this particular season, knowing that God is going to be able to get you through all of it. And once the storm is over, God knows exactly what to give you in your life. Be blessed.